Why is this happening to Indians? Honestly, it's both shocking and heartbreaking. Countries that are much smaller than India, some you wouldn't even expect, are now turning their backs. They're saying no to Indian applicants, shutting their doors, denying visas, and even forcing people to pack up and leave, sometimes overnight. Think about it, for years, Indians have worked tirelessly in foreign lands. They've built lives from scratch, careers, businesses, homes, and woven themselves into the fabric of local communities. They've contributed to those countries in big ways. And yet, suddenly, everything seems to be shifting. Across the board, from the Middle East to Western nations, immigration rules are tightening like never before. Job opportunities drying up. Permanent residency becoming a distant dream. And worst of all, thousands of Indians are being asked to leave, often without any clear explanation or warning. It's painful. It's confusing. And many are left wondering, why? What's really going on here? What's the truth behind this wave of rejection? In today's video, we're diving deep into 10 countries that are making it harder than ever for Indians to stay. Some are quietly changing policies under the radar. Others? They're openly pushing people out. Whether you're a student, a skilled worker in tech, or simply chasing a better future abroad, this affects you. If you or someone close to you has experienced this firsthand, drop your story in the comments below. You're not alone. Let's get into it. Number 10, Australia. For so many Indians, especially those in IT or healthcare, moving to Australia felt like chasing a dream. A new life, better opportunities, maybe even permanent residency. But lately, that dream's becoming harder and harder to hold on to. The rules have changed. The Australian government has raised the minimum salary you need to qualify for a work visa, and that alone is shutting the door on countless hopefuls. Even if you do manage to get a work visa, the path to permanent residency now demands more years of experience and more uncertainty than ever before. The result? Thousands of Indians are stuck, living on temporary visas, building lives that feel like they could be taken away at any moment. The stress, the sadness, the frustration, it's real. Some are even starting to give up, considering whether they should leave altogether and let go of the future they once believed was possible. Number 10, Australia. For so many Indians, especially those in IT or healthcare, moving to Australia felt like chasing a dream. A new life, better opportunities, maybe even permanent residency. But lately, that dream's becoming harder and harder to hold on to. The rules have changed. The Australian government has raised the minimum salary you need to qualify for a work visa, and that alone is shutting the door on countless hopefuls. Even if you do manage to get a work visa, the path to permanent residency now demands more years of experience and more uncertainty than ever before. The result? Thousands of Indians are stuck, living on temporary visas, building lives that feel like they could be taken away at any moment. The stress, the sadness, the frustration, it's real. Some are even starting to give up, considering whether they should leave altogether and let go of the future they once believed was possible. Number 8, Germany. This one really hurts, because it just doesn't make sense. Germany keeps saying it needs skilled professionals, IT experts, engineers, healthcare workers. And yet, Indians who have those skills, who have job offers, are still stuck waiting endlessly for visas. The process? It's slow, complicated, and draining. People with real opportunities in hand, ready to contribute to Germany's workforce, are left hanging, tangled in red tape and long waits. And even when someone does everything right, checks every box, there's still no guarantee. Rejections still happen. No explanation. Just disappointment. One major hurdle: the language barrier. Without knowing German, it becomes much harder to get permanent residency. For many Indians, especially students and professionals on temporary visas, this creates a feeling of being stuck in limbo, with no clear path forward. The strict documentation, the never-ending processing delays, the uncertainty, it's all incredibly frustrating. What was once a promising move starts to feel like a dead end. And so, despite the demand for talent, many Indians are starting to feel disheartened and unwelcome, left wondering if Germany truly wants them there. Number 7. The United States. The US, a land of opportunity, right? For years, the H-1B visa opened doors for Indian professionals, especially in the booming tech world. But now, it's turning into a nightmare for many. Massive tech layoffs have left thousands of Indians jobless, and here's the cruel part: if they don't land a new job in just 60 days, they're legally forced to leave the country. 60 days to rebuild your life. It's brutal. And for those hoping for a more permanent solution, like a green card, the wait is unbelievably long. Some Indians are staring down a wait time of 20 to 30 years just to become permanent residents. That's an entire lifetime of uncertainty. It doesn't stop there. Indian students, too, are feeling the heat. More student visa applications are being denied, thanks to tighter checks and increased scrutiny. The fear, the pressure, it's intense. For many, America once symbolized hope, success, and freedom. But now, it's becoming a place where dreams feel out of reach, and where many Indians are left feeling unwelcome, anxious, and stuck in limbo. Number 6. Singapore. What's happening in Singapore right now is quietly devastating for many Indians. For years, Indian professionals, especially in fields like banking, IT, and engineering, found real success and stability there. It felt like a place where careers could flourish and lives could be built. But now, everything's changing, and fast. New government policies are pushing companies to prioritize hiring local Singaporeans over foreign talent. And because of that shift, it's become incredibly difficult for Indians to get or renew their employment pass, the very document needed to legally work in Singapore. Even highly skilled professionals, people who have lived and worked in Singapore for years, are suddenly being told they can't stay. They're losing jobs, having visa renewals denied, and watching everything they built start to unravel. The worst part? Many of them never saw it coming. For them, Singapore wasn't just a job market, it was home. They built routines, friendships, and futures there. But now, with so much uncertainty, that sense of security has vanished. It's a painful reality. What once felt like a place of promise now feels unfamiliar and unstable. And for the Indians affected, the future in Singapore suddenly looks deeply uncertain, and that, more than anything, is hard to accept. Number 5. United Kingdom. The UK has always been one of the top choices for Indian students dreaming of a world-class education. But now, that dream is starting to come with a heavy cost. In a sudden and strict policy shift, the UK government has introduced new immigration rules, and they're hitting Indian students the hardest. One of the most heartbreaking changes. Students can no longer bring their family members, like spouses or children, while studying. Imagine moving across the world to study, only to be forced to leave your loved ones behind. It's causing real emotional pain. Many students are now dealing with loneliness, stress, and anxiety, trying to stay focused on their education while feeling completely cut off from home. And it doesn't stop there. After graduation, things get even tougher. The UK has raised the salary threshold for work visas, making it incredibly difficult for students to stay and work after completing their studies. Even if they find a job, many simply don't meet the new requirements. It's like the door is closing right when they're ready to step through it. For countless Indian students, what once felt like a land full of hope and opportunity is now leaving them confused, heartbroken, and unsure of what's next. The excitement of studying abroad has turned into a struggle to hold on to a future they thought was theirs. Number 4. Saudi Arabia. What's happening in Saudi Arabia right now is both heartbreaking and shocking, especially for the thousands of Indian workers who once saw it as a land of hope and stability. The Saudi government has rolled out a strict program called Saudization, which basically means more and more jobs are being reserved for Saudi citizens only. And because of this, a huge number of Indian expats, many of whom have lived and worked there for years, are now losing their jobs and being forced to leave the country they once called home. As if losing a job wasn't hard enough, the cost of renewing work permits and visas has skyrocketed. For many low-income Indian workers, it's simply unaffordable to stay. Some are being asked to leave within weeks, with little time to prepare or even save up enough money. It's crushing. Industries that once thrived with Indian workers, like retail, hospitality, and even the oil sector, are being hit hard. Families back home who relied on money sent from Saudi Arabia are now suddenly left with nothing. And for the workers still there, fear and uncertainty are growing by the day. Saudi Arabia was once seen as a golden opportunity, a place where hard work paid off, where dreams could come true. But now, it feels like the doors are closing, and fast. People who gave years of their lives to help build that country are being told they're no longer needed. With job cuts, rising costs, and new restrictions, many Indians are left heartbroken, searching desperately for a place where they can start over, again. Number 3. Qatar. Something truly heartbreaking is unfolding in Qatar, a country that once relied heavily on migrant workers, especially from India, is now slowly pushing them out. Thousands of Indian workers who moved there chasing a better life are suddenly facing job cuts, visa rejections, and in some cases, even the threat of deportation. It's all happening so fast, and so unexpectedly, that many are still in shock. Qatar has begun scaling back its foreign workforce, especially in low-income sectors. Indian workers in construction, hospitality, and domestic jobs, who were once the backbone of the country's labor force, are now being let go. New policies now prioritize hiring local Qatari citizens, leaving many Indians jobless overnight. These aren't just workers, they're parents, sons, and daughters who came to Qatar with big dreams. They sent money home, supported families, and hoped for a brighter future. But now, with work visas getting harder to renew, many are being forced to pack up and leave, some with nothing but heartbreak and unpaid dues. Many have already returned to India, empty-handed and unsure of what comes next. Thousands more are living in fear, wondering if they're next. This isn't just about lost jobs. It's about families being torn apart by sudden, unforgiving policy shifts. For so many, Qatar used to be a land of hope. Today, it feels like the door has slammed shut. And it's a harsh reminder, even the countries that once welcomed Indian labor with open arms are now quietly saying, no more. Number 2, Oman. Something truly painful is happening in Oman, and it's affecting thousands of Indian workers who once felt secure and valued there. For years, Oman was known as a welcoming place for Indian professionals. From IT and engineering to healthcare, banking, and hospitality, Indians played a key role in helping the country grow. But now, that sense of stability is slipping away. The Omani government has introduced new policies aimed at promoting Omanization, which means giving priority to local citizens when it comes to jobs. And while that may make sense for their economy, it's causing a quiet crisis for Indian expats. Suddenly, work permits aren't being renewed. Skilled professionals are losing jobs they've held for years. And new opportunities? They're drying up fast. It's devastating. These are people who've invested their lives in Oman, working hard, paying taxes, contributing to the country's success while supporting families back in India. Now, they're being told they no longer have a place there. Even highly educated, experienced professionals are being turned away with a simple message: there's no space for you anymore. The emotional toll is enormous. Lives are being uprooted overnight. Families are being left in limbo. And those affected are now scrambling to find alternatives, places like the UAE or Bahrain, where there's still a flicker of hope. For many, Oman once felt like a second home. Today, it feels like that door is closing, and the future is filled with uncertainty and sadness. Number 1, Kuwait. Kuwait, once seen as a land of hope for Indian workers, is now becoming one of the hardest places for them to stay. The government has made it very clear, it wants to drastically reduce the number of foreign workers. And sadly, Indians are among those most affected. Over 800,000 Indians live and work in Kuwait, in critical roles across healthcare, construction, and IT. But now, many are being forced to return to India, often without warning. Why? Because of strict new immigration policies that make it nearly impossible to renew visas or secure work permits. The government has put heavy caps on foreign labor, and the impact has been devastating. Thousands of Indian workers and professionals have already lost their jobs. Some of these workers have spent decades in Kuwait, built lives, raised families, paid taxes, and now they're being told to leave, sometimes within days. Families who followed every rule, lived legally, and contributed to the country are suddenly facing deportation. It's shocking. It's painful. And for many, there's no savings, no plan, just heartbreak. Even skilled professionals, engineers, IT experts, healthcare workers, are being turned away. New permits are nearly impossible to obtain, and job openings are vanishing. The situation has gotten so bad, there are now reports of mass deportations of Indian workers. Kuwait, once considered a stable and welcoming place to build a future, now feels like it's shutting the door on the very people who helped build it. But this isn't just about Kuwait. Across the globe, Indian workers are being caught in the middle of tightening immigration policies. From the Middle East to Europe and North America, more and more countries are making it harder to secure jobs, visas, and permanent residency. Why is this happening? A combination of reasons. Economic struggles in host countries are pushing governments to protect local jobs. Rising nationalism is fueling policies that favor citizens over foreign workers. Geopolitical tensions and shifting diplomatic ties are making immigration even more complicated. And as a result, something that once seemed relatively simple, moving abroad to support your family, is now a huge challenge. So, what can Indians do now? It's time to be strategic and future-focused. While many traditional destinations are closing their doors, there are still countries open to skilled professionals. Nations like Portugal, Poland, the UAE, and Japan are welcoming talent, especially in high-demand sectors like IT, healthcare, and engineering. Canada's Atlantic provinces and some smaller European countries are also offering faster, more accessible pathways to permanent residency. And globally, industries like cybersecurity, AI, and medical tech continue to grow, with opportunities still available for those with the right skills. Instead of only aiming for the US, UK, or traditional hotspots, now might be the time to explore emerging destinations that offer greater stability and long-term potential. And more importantly, always have a backup plan. Immigration rules can change in the blink of an eye. The truth is, the world of migration is shifting fast. The path that once looked clear for Indian professionals and laborers is now filled with roadblocks. But that doesn't mean the journey is over. It just means we have to be smarter, more prepared, and open to new possibilities. Have you, or someone you know, faced visa issues, rejections, or the threat of deportation? Share your experience in the comments. And if you're planning to move abroad, which country do you think holds the most promise now? Let's talk about it below.